What would you do if a soaking wet stranger offered you $50,000 to pretend to be his wife for just 24 hours?
She said yes, thinking it was just business. He thought he was saving his family empire.
But neither of them expected what happened next. By hour 18, she was crying under Swiss stars. By hour 24, he was on his knees with a real ring. This is the story of how a fake marriage became the most real love either had ever known. Stay until the end, because what the grandmother does at their wedding will leave you in tears. Welcome to our channel, Truth Turn Stories. We have bring you a great love story. If you're new to our channel, then hit the bell icon. Let's enjoy the video. The rain poured like heaven itself was weeping that cold Zurich evening. Droplets crashed against ancient cobblestones, creating rivers that rushed toward iron drains. Thunder rumbled in the distance like a warning from fate itself. Street lamps flickered through the downpour, casting golden halos that danced upon wet pavement. And there, standing outside the grandest hotel in all of Switzerland, stood a man whose entire world was crumbling faster than the storm clouds gathering overhead. His name was Marcus Chen, and desperation clung to him heavier than his soaked designer suit. Marcus had built nothing in his 32 years. His father had built everything. The Chen Empire stretched across 3 continents, encompassing hotels and restaurants and shipping companies worth billions. But 6 months ago, his father had fallen into a peaceful sleep and never awakened, leaving Marcus alone at the helm of a sinking ship. Partners had fled, investors had retreated, competitors had circled like hungry wolves. Now only one hope remained. A single meeting with the legendary Friedrich Hoffmann, the 90-year-old billionaire who had funded empires and created kings from ordinary men. But Friedrich Hoffmann held one unbreakable rule that had governed his entire investment philosophy for over 60 years. He only trusted married men, family men, men who had proven their commitment through the sacred bond of matrimony. His exact words echoed through Marcus's troubled mind like a haunting melody. Family men are trustworthy. Come with your wife, or do not come at all. The meeting was scheduled for tomorrow evening. 48 hours remained before Marcus would lose everything his father had spent a lifetime building. And Marcus Chen had no wife, no girlfriend, not even a distant prospect, just a crumbling legacy and a heart full of fear. He stood in that freezing rain for 17 minutes, contemplating his complete and utter failure, when the hotel doors whispered open behind him. Warm golden light spilled onto the wet steps, and that is when she appeared. That is when everything changed forever. Her name was Elena Vance, though Marcus would not learn this beautiful detail for several more minutes. What he noticed first was that time itself seemed to slow down and hold its breath. She moved through the doorway like a vision from a dream he never knew he had. Cascading waves of chestnut hair tumbled past her shoulders, catching the lobby light and shimmering with hints of copper and gold. Her eyes were the color of melted chocolate, with tiny flecks of amber that sparkled when the light touched them just right. Skin like moonlit porcelain seemed to glow with an inner radiance. Full lips curved in quiet grace as she noticed the drenched stranger staring at her with undisguised wonder. Elena worked at the hotel reception desk. She had held this position for 3 years, sending every spare penny home to her elderly grandmother who had raised her with love and sacrifice. Life had not been easy for Elena, but she carried her struggles with dignity and quiet strength. She had stepped outside to bring an umbrella to this foolish businessman standing in the storm. Simple kindness, nothing more. But when their eyes locked, something electric passed between them. Something neither could explain nor deny. Marcus spoke before his brain could stop him. $50,000, he whispered urgently. Pretend to be my wife, just 24 hours. Elena's heart raced beneath her modest uniform. That money could change her grandmother's life forever. She took one breath, then another, Then she spoke the single word that would rewrite both their destinies. I will do it. Neither of them knew what miracles awaited them, but fate knew, and fate was smiling. The masquerade began at sunrise when golden light crept through the silk curtains of the hotel's finest suite. Elena stood before a floor-length mirror, hardly recognizing the woman staring back at her. The emerald silk gown hugged her graceful figure like it had been sewn by angels specifically for this moment. The fabric shimmered with every tiny movement, catching light and transforming it into dancing sparkles that played across the walls. Her chestnut hair had been swept into an elegant updo, with soft tendrils framing her face like delicate poetry. Makeup artists had enhanced what nature had already perfected, and the result was almost unbearable to witness. She looked like a princess from a fairy tale she had never dared to dream for herself. Marcus entered the room and stopped dead in his tracks. His breath caught somewhere between his chest and throat, refusing to complete its journey. He had known she was beautiful from the moment he first saw her in the rain. But this was something beyond beauty. This was magic made visible. He cleared his throat and approached her slowly, holding a small velvet box in his trembling hands. Inside sat a diamond ring that cost more than most people earned in 5 years. Their fingers touched as he slipped the ring onto her left hand, and electricity sparked between them like lightning finding its perfect ground. Elena felt her heart skip and stumble. Focused, she reminded herself firmly, "This is business. This is only business." But nothing about this moment felt like business at all. The investor's mansion sat atop a hill overlooking Lake Zurich, like a castle surveying its kingdom. Luxury cars lined the circular driveway. Women in designer gowns floated alongside men in tailored suits. This was a world Elena had only seen in magazines, a world where she did not belong. Yet somehow when she stepped through those towering doors holding Marcus's arm, she transformed into someone who had always belonged here. She charmed everyone, effortlessly remembering names after hearing them only once. She laughed genuinely at jokes both clever and simple. She discussed art and literature and life with such warmth and intelligence that guests gravitated toward her like flowers turning toward sunlight. Even the waitstaff smiled brighter when she thanked them for their service. She treated everyone with equal kindness, whether they wore diamonds or aprons. Old Mr. Hoffman watched everything with knowing eyes that had witnessed 8 decades of human behavior. He had seen countless fake smiles and rehearsed charm from people desperate for his money. But this woman was different. Her warmth was not performance. Her kindness was not strategy. During a quiet moment, he pulled Marcus aside near the garden terrace. "Your wife has a rare soul," he said, with genuine admiration softening his weathered voice. "That kind of grace cannot be taught or bought. Hold on to her, young man. Hold on to her with everything you have." Marcus nodded silently while something strange twisted inside his chest. That evening, alone in their shared suite, the performance should have ended. No audience remained to impress. No investors watched from shadowy corners. Yet Elena continued being exactly who she had been all day. She removed her heels with a tired sigh and wiggled her aching toes. She found leftover soup in the mini kitchen and heated enough for them both without being asked. She noticed Marcus's scattered presentation notes and organized them into neat piles, adding small encouraging comments on sticky notes. Small kindnesses performed for no reward. No applause, no recognition. Just genuine care flowing from a genuine heart. Marcus observed silently from across the room, completely mesmerized by this woman who owed him nothing beyond their simple agreement. She is not performing. He realized with sudden clarity that struck him like morning light. This is simply who she is. He caught his own reflection in the dark window. He saw a man pretending not to feel his heart awakening. But hearts do not follow instructions, and his heart was already falling. Hour 18 had arrived, bringing with it the sweet taste of victory that Marcus had chased for so many desperate months. The business dinner, had ended triumphantly, with handshakes and champagne, and promises that would save his entire family legacy. Old Mr. Hoffman had gripped Marcus's hand with surprising strength for a man of 90 years. His eyes had sparkled with genuine warmth as he spoke words that should have filled Marcus with complete joy. "You have my investment, young man," he declared. "The papers will be signed by morning. But more importantly, you have a remarkable woman standing beside you. Treasure her, protect her. A good heart like hers is rarer than all the diamonds in Switzerland." Marcus had smiled and nodded and said all the right things. Success, victory, everything he had wanted, everything he had desperately needed. Yet as the guests departed and the grand dining hall emptied, a strange emptiness crept into his chest, like uninvited fog, rolling across a morning lake. The suite felt too quiet when they returned. Elena had excused herself to the balcony, while Marcus loosened his tie and replayed the evening in his mind. He should be celebrating. He should be calling his mother with the wonderful news. He should be planning his triumphant return home. Instead, he found himself drawn toward the balcony doors where delicate curtains danced in the alpine breeze. He stepped outside, and what he witnessed there stopped his heart completely. Elena stood against the railing, gazing up at the Swiss stars that scattered across the velvet sky like diamonds thrown by careless angels. Moonlight bathed her in silver radiance, making her look almost ethereal, almost heavenly. But something was wrong. Tears glistened on her perfect cheeks, catching starlight as they traced silent paths down her porcelain skin. "What is wrong?" Marcus asked, softly, stepping closer with genuine concern flooding his voice. Elena startled slightly, clearly not expecting company in her moment of private sorrow. She quickly wiped her tears and forced a smile that could not quite reach her beautiful eyes. "It is nothing," she whispered. "Just being foolish. Please do not worry yourself." But Marcus did not retreat. He moved beside her and waited patiently. Silence stretched between them, comfortable and safe. And then truth began spilling out like water finally released from a dam that had held strong for far too long. Her grandmother had raised her completely alone after her parents vanished from her life when she was barely 3 years old. That remarkable woman had sacrificed everything, working endless hours, cleaning houses and mending clothes, so Elena could attend school and dream of better days. Now her grandmother was growing older and frailer. With each passing season, Elena worked 3 different jobs, sending every spare penny home to provide comfort and care. She had not visited in over 2 years because plane tickets cost money that could buy medicine or warm blankets instead. "I miss her so much," Elena whispered, as fresh tears escaped her golden eyes. "Sometimes at night, I close my eyes and pretend I can smell her kitchen. Pretend I can hear her singing old songs while she cooks. But love means sacrifice, and I would sacrifice anything for her happiness." Marcus felt his chest tighten with emotions he had never experienced before. Here stood a woman of extraordinary physical beauty, whose face could launch 1,000 ships. Yet her heart outshone even her perfect features. She was not pretending to be kind. She was kindness itself. "Elena." He breathed her name like a prayer. She turned toward him. Moonlight danced across her tear-stained features, and Marcus realized something absolutely terrifying. He was not pretending anymore. His heart had fallen completely. Hour 24 arrived far too quickly, like a thief stealing precious moments that neither of them wanted to end. Morning sunlight streamed through the windows, painting golden rectangles across the polished floor of the hotel suite. Elena moved quietly around the room, gathering her few belongings and placing them carefully into her small, worn bag. The emerald gown hung preserved in a garment bag that she would leave behind. The diamond ring sat on the nightstand, waiting to be returned to its rightful owner. The fairy tale was ending. The clock had struck midnight. Time had come for Cinderella to return to her ordinary life of 3 jobs and lonely nights and dreams that would never come true. Marcus stood frozen in the doorway, watching her every movement with a heart that pounded so loudly he wondered if she could hear it. His mind waged war against his soul in a battle that threatened to tear him apart completely. Let her go logic demanded with cold, sensible reasoning. This was a business arrangement, a contract, nothing more. She fulfilled her obligation and you fulfilled yours. Let her walk away and return to your separate lives. But his soul screamed back with desperate passion. Never, never let her go. You found something rare and precious, something that most people search their entire lives to discover. Are you really foolish enough to let her slip through your fingers like sand? Elena zipped her bag closed with quiet finality. She took one last look around the suite, memorizing details she would treasure forever. The balcony where she had cried beneath the stars. The small kitchen where she had heated soup for two. The window where she had caught Marcus watching her with something unreadable in his dark eyes. Beautiful memories from a beautiful dream. But dreams must end. She turned toward the door and found Marcus blocking her path. His face held an expression she had never seen before. Vulnerability mixed with determination. Fear intertwined with hope. Elena, he spoke her name like it was sacred. Like it was the most important word he had ever learned. She stopped. She waited. She barely remembered how to breathe. Marcus stepped forward slowly. His hands trembled as he reached into his pocket. Elena expected him to produce the check. $50,000 as promised, payment for services rendered. But instead, he pulled out the same diamond ring she had worn for 24 magical hours. The ring she had just returned to the nightstand moments ago. The pretend marriage is over, he said softly. His voice cracked with emotion he could no longer hide. But I am asking for a real chance. Stay with me, Elena. Not for 24 hours, not for 24 days, for 24 years, for forever. Elena felt the world tilt beneath her feet. Her eyes widened until they seemed to hold entire galaxies. Her perfect lips parted, but no words emerged. I fell in love with your kindness, Marcus continued, stepping closer still. I fell in love with your grace, your warmth, your beautiful heart that gives without expecting anything in return. I pretended not to fall for you, Elena, but I failed completely. Tears streamed down her radiant face, joyful tears, overwhelmed tears, tears that sparkled like diamonds in the morning light. 6 months later, they stood together in her grandmother's small garden, exchanging real vows, before real guests, with real love overflowing from their hearts. Elena wore simple white, looking more beautiful than any princess in any fairy tale ever written. Her grandmother wept happy tears in the front row, finally reunited with her precious granddaughter, finally home. Marcus held his bride's hands and spoke truth that echoed through eternity. I searched for a business partner, but I found my soulmate instead. She taught me that true beauty lives in kindness and sacrifice and love given freely. The heart that gives everything receives everything in return. Elena smiled, breathtaking, glowing, complete. Sometimes love arrives disguised as a simple transaction, but genuine kindness can never be faked, and hearts that serve others always find their way home.